Welcome to the Science Lab. Today we are going to make a science. We have this box full of data and we want to say, okay, now we want to predict something about this because it's all data. You might say we want to use a lot of data and try to get it into becoming a few data which tells us a lot about all this. Yeah? And we need to find out something which is common or which has to do with all this data, and we need to say, this is it. This is true for all these data. Because then we could reverse it and say, this data will predict all these data. So we could sort of say, okay, all this data is not really necessary because we got this. But what if we have a data which only predicts sort of like half of the data out there? Well, it's not real good, but it's not real bad either. But what if it's a data which only predicts a very small percentage of all the data out here? Well, then that datum is not that good. We could actually turn it upside down and go like this. On the top here, we have the most important data, which sort of predicts and controls all the lower data. In electronics, it could be Ohm's Law, which basically gives us an absolutely correlation between resistance and difference of potentiality and the power of electricity itself. And it tells us something about, you don't really know anything about Ohm's Law. It's just a law which is cool because it says a lot about everything which is within electricity. You'll actually find the most really substantial advances in a science is when somebody grasps hold of one of these key data, something which evaluates everything which is below it. So we have important data and not so important data. So in school, for instance, you need to be able to not just sit there and take it in like food. You need to say, oh, this one is good. This one is perfect. This one sort of defines chocolate. This bite is just chocolate. It tells everything about chocolate because that is an important piece of information. You need to be able to, in your assimilation of data and the creation of a science and the maintaining of a science, to be able to throw out data and say, this is not that important, this is not that important, that's a key information. Why is it a key information? Because this datum predicts how other data will be found to be. Yeah? So it is a matter of weeding out the good information from the bad information. There's two traitors of thought, which I just demonstrated. You have the inductive thinking. That is basically, you have all this information and you tend to go to say, well, they seem to be going towards this datum here. Ah, okay, let's test it. And that is the deductive thinking, where we just say, okay, so this datum will predict this to be found, this to be found, this to be found. And we go and look, it's all there. So this holds water. That's good information. A bad science, let's just call it like that, is a science where you don't have these rules. And somebody would say, well, this is all very, very, very complicated and we don't really know anything about it. Oh, I didn't say that. But it's all very complicated. You have to study this for 12 years to be able to say anything smart about the subject. You can immediately tell that such a person is, dare I say it, a fraud. Because it is just a cover-up for the simple fact that there is no key data found in this subject. It is underdeveloped as a science. A science has that ability to predict and control its subject. If it doesn't have that, then it's not really a science. Okay? It has to have that ability. If a science cannot predict its own subject, it's not a science. That is important information if you want to tell something about a science, okay? So end of science lesson.